يوم إنسية. On this day, I will speak to any human being. أمسكت عن الكلام. She refrained from speech. طيب. Moving on. We say that the word fasting, according to the Islamic Sharia, means what? What does the word siyam mean in the deen now? We said it's holding back in the Arabic language. Now when we mention the Islamic sense, what does the term siyam mean? Bad. Worship. Right. That's a good step. That's a fundamental brick. Worship. What's the rest? Abu Bakr. ما معنى الصيام في الشرع؟ التعبد لله بالإمساك. طيب. We have a second brick. Now inshallah we can build a wall. Fasting means to worship Allah by refraining. Good. I said there's still more left. Who wants to donate another brick? Think. It's very simple. Just think about it. التعبد لله بالإمساك عن إيش؟ يا أبو راضي. سلام. لماذا؟ وأنت بعيد عنا. لا نستفيد منك. تعال ادعو منا عشان ننتفع بك. طيب. خير. التعبد لله بالإمساك, to worship Allah by refraining from what? What do we refrain from? Speech? Raise your right hand. Al-halal or haram. طيب. Speech is halal and haram too. We refrain from speech. He's important now. Philadelphia. People in Connecticut now, they see me salams. طيب. التعبد لله بالإمساك, to worship Allah by refraining from what? Food, drink, and bad talk. Anything else? Solid. Intercourse, sexual intercourse. There's more different types of intercourse. Okay? Verbal intercourse, speaking solid. Sexual intercourse, right? That's different. There are other things that pertain to a man and his wife. It's not sexual intercourse. You have to be specific, okay? Fight. What else? Fighting. That's long. هذا فيه إطالة. التعبد لله بالإمساك عن الطعام والشراب والكلام السيء والاتصال الجنسي نلخص. نقول التعبد لله تعالى بالإمساك عن المفطرات أو عن أشياء مخصوصة. To make things, whenever you're defining something, you want to make it as short and concise as possible. You want to compress the definition. And then when you explain it to the people, then you do what? Decompress it. You understand this? Take this benefit as a part of it. And then ta'arif tusan an al-ishab. Ta'arif tusan an al-ishab al-ifad. We keep things short and simple. We say that fasting is to worship Allah by refraining from specific things. Specific things. Included in that term specific is eating, drinking, bad speech, fighting, sexual intercourse. That's better, right, Shakir? That's much better than mentioning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 3 or 4 pieces now. To worship Allah by refraining from specific things. The whole entire month? طيب أحسنت. التعبد لله بالإمساك عن المفطرات من طلوع الفجر الصادق. To worship Allah by refraining from specific things from the true Fajr. When Fajr time comes in, okay? Because there's something, the Fajr Kadith, which it looks like the Fajr is coming, but it's really not coming in. You really can't see too much that in the city. With lights, with modern man-made things, it's hard to determine this. But if you're in a desert or the forest or somewhere, or at sea, you can see the true Fajr and the false Fajr. So we have to worship Allah by refraining from specific things from the time of Fajr until sunset, ma'aniyah. That's the complete definition. التعبد لله تعالى بالإمساك عن المفطرات من طلوع الفجر الصادق إلى غروب الشمس مع النية. The complete definition is to worship Allah by refraining from specific things from Fajr time to sunset with the proper intention. Period. That is the definition of Siyam in Islam. Who can explain this to me? Who can break this down quickly? Mustafa. Fadl. Decompress this. The definition. What does the definition mean? In your own words. Ibrahim.
To worship Allah.
Meaning what? What does that mean to worship Allah? In other words, fasting is not a custom. Fasting is not a culture. Fasting is not a tradition. Fasting is ibadah. And if it's ibadah, then you need knowledge to perform that worship. Worship without knowledge is like building on mud. It's an act of a fool. No wise man of any religion, any culture, any race, any discipline or art will do something without proper knowledge. So why does it come to Islam? We think we can do it without proper knowledge. Why is this? I wish you could. What is befalling the Muslim that we think like this? Muslim, mashallah, is a top-notch civil engineer, like many youth want to be today. I want to be a civil engineer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a PA. After Mecca and Medina, after Allah blesses me to go and be at the top every day, I want to come back and practice medicine. I don't know what I'll take that with that. I don't know. What's important is that if you ask the Muslim who's an engineer about his job, I want to go, I want to build a bridge in the middle of this pond, in the middle of this lake. I'm not going to use the proper joist. I'm not going to do no measurement. I'm just going to put the stuff in the ground and make a bridge. Would he allow that? He wouldn't allow it. He would become offended. He disrespected my expertise. What do you mean just build it in the middle of the pond? What do you mean just have a good intention? So why does it come like this when it comes to Islam? You don't need knowledge. Just be a good Muslim. Alhamdulillah. That's lie. So if fasting is worship, then the first step is ilm. The second step is sincerity, ikhlas. And thirdly, last but not least, you must follow the sunnah of the Prophet. So you cannot fast how you want to fast. To worship Allah by refraining, by avoiding specific things: food, drink, sexual intercourse, bad speech, fighting, arguing, bickering. From the Fajr time coming in other words, as many Muslims, you'll be shocked. Indeed, you wouldn't believe me if I told you how many Muslims think that Ramadan begins when the sun rises. You believe that? Wallahi. Many Muslims think this. They think that you have to stop eating when it's time to make Salat al-Fajr. They're calling for Fajr, then you stop eating and drinking. Many Muslims think this. Some Muslims think it's okay to eat and drink until sunrise. And that's wrong. Okay? So the whole duration of the day, you avoid those things. Until when? In other words, we've been different from that definition, Ali, is that when it's time for the adhan for Salat al-Maghrib, when the sun has fallen down, break your fast. And it's another thing that many Muslims fall into, especially overseas. They wait until after the adhan. 5 minutes after the adhan, after the salah, after the iqamah. They say, no, I don't want to rush. Don't eat the dates yet after you. Why? If you're driving around Saudi Arabia, they'll stop you. Some people, they'll put your hand in. Wait. Sway, somebody. They'll still say, no. Don't break your fast yet. Wait until after the adhan. Make sure. And that is also another mistake. That's based on ignorance. Everybody doesn't do that overseas, but there are many people who do. As soon as the sun set, there's no more siyam. Okay? And then last but not least, we said what? Maniyah. With the proper intention. In other words, you cannot just wake up and say, you must have the niyyah. And many scholars of Islam will be opinion that if you do not make a daily niyyah at nighttime, then you have no fast. If you do not make your niyyah on a daily basis, at night, before Fajr, you don't have any fast. Your fast is invalid. And some scholars hold the opinion is that it's sufficient for a person to make one intention at the beginning of the month. And as long as you don't travel and break your fast during the daytime and become sick or something like this, then they say that is sufficient. There's two things of the ulama. Pay attention. I'm telling you. من لم يبيت الصيام من الليل فلا صيام له كما ورد في الحديث على خلاف في صحة هذا الحديث اختلفوا في صحة الحديث منهم من ضعفه ومنهم من أثبت الحديث. They say if you do not make your intention every single night, you have no fast. And some scholars have said that yakfi is sufficient to make one niyyah at the beginning of Ramadan. And as long as you fast all of the days, you don't travel, break your fast for something, then you don't have to renew your niyyah. Everybody understand this? So this is vital. Right. We're finished with the definition of fasting. Let's move on. Some of the benefits of fasting. Come on, quickly. Some of the benefits of fasting. Either losing weight. Right. Okay. When you fast, you lose weight. Is it good for everybody to lose weight? Right. Okay, well some people it is good for them to lose weight. But some people aspire to lose weight. Hey, on the hand, it's good for your physical body. Losing weight, your stomach, right, what else? Your belly, what else? Yusuf. Sabr, that our fasting increases a slave in what? What does sabr mean? Let's see if you will really train well. What does sabr mean? Ahsant. Good. Habsun nafs. And it doesn't just literally mean patience, it's more than that. To hold yourself back. Right. Abu Bakr says to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hey, how do you get closer to Allah by not eating and drinking? Is ibadah. Leaving those things off is ibadah. In other words, from the sunnah of the Prophet is that we call a sunnah at-tarkiyah. Sunnah at-tarkiyah is the sunnah of leaving things off. Just as it's from the sunnah of Musa to do things, it's also from the sunnah to do what? To leave all things. This is act of sunnah in certain instances not to do something. Right, what are the benefits we get from fasting? Increasing in iman. Iman increases. I thought faith was the one thing in the heart. I didn't know faith could grow. Okay, faith is in my heart, brother. How does faith increase? Iman increases and decreases. Right. Who says this? My sheikh told me that faith doesn't increase or decrease. Yeah, my sheikh. You gotta change my sheikh. What's the dalil? What's the dalil that Iman increases and decreases?
When you sit in a good company, biased company, your Iman is.
What's the delay? We need a hadith. We need a verse in the Quran, text that tells us Iman increases and decreases. And if not, I'll follow my sheikh. Who are you to disrespect my sheikh? Muhammad. Right? You've read all of the books 30 times. Muslims have sheikhs like this. Sahih? What's the proof that Iman fluctuates? Taqiyuddin. What's the dalil? Ya Haydara. Kul Haydara. Be like a lion. What's the proof that Iman increases and decreases? Ikhwan, Abu Anqidhum. فإنهم يغرقون. ما عندنا دليل واحد. We have no proof that Iman increases and decreases. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. علي.
At the hadith when the companions said when they were with the Prophet that he felt his Iman.
When the companions with the Prophet they says we feel like we're believers. We can feel our hearts. We can feel Iman. And then when we leave his company, they feel different. La best. There's proof that's even stronger than that. And you still haven't convinced me to leave off my shit. Right now he's in the mountains as we speak. With the hawks and the falcons. Meditating. Right now? Too late. Follow later. Right, that's extracted from the hadith. That's not actual text. That's good thinking, but that's not actual nas. Anybody else? حياكم الله. صدقت الله. أنقذهم. أنقذهم. Save them. يقولون دليل من الكتاب أو السنة على زيادة الإيمان ونقصانه، وأن الإيمان يتفاضل ويزداد، يعني الإيمان يزيد وينقص. كيف نص كتاب آية أم حديث؟ لا أقوى إلا هذين. نافق حنظلة. طيب يصير حنظلة has made hypocrisy. ممكن لم أقتنع بعد. ما زلت مع شيخ في الجبال. مع شيخ. I'm still going to stick with my sheikh. What do you tell you? Until you bring me the lead from the sunnah. طيب خير. Let's move on. We have to sharpen it. Right? Munir. We're getting a little dull. Right, moving on. Benefits from fasting. Let's move on to the next point. What are the conditions for somebody's fast being obligatory? Who are the people that must fast in the month of Ramadan? Father Mustafa.
The people that are in good condition.
Physically, right? That they have to have qudra, ascent, and yukuna qadira. You must have the physical capability to fast. What other conditions are there? Qadra. For fasting to be obligatory. Ascent and yukuna baligha. They have to be of age, of puberty, in order for fasting to be what? Obligatory. We have two conditions. Number 3, shakir. Then you're going to aqidah. They must have sound mind. You can't be crazy. No loonies. Quiet. Solid. For it to be obligatory to be Muslim, the kuffar, they are responsible for not fasting on the day of judgment. They have to be Muslim for it to be wajib. Quiet. Moving on. Any other conditions? And you're going to muqeeman, ascent. You have to be a resident. You have to be at home, not traveling. If you're traveling, fasting is not obligatory upon you. Type, any other conditions? And you're going to khaliyan an al-mawani. To be void of anything that will prevent a person from being required to fast, such as menstruation, such as postnatal bleeding, such as being a mujahid in the lost cause, fighting, beating your enemy. Whereas it's sometimes obligatory to break your fast. Okay, let's say what if a Muslim had a job as being a lifeguard? He had to save people from drowning, hypothetically speaking. Right? So we said they have to be Muslim. You said that, I didn't say that. Right? You said that they must be Muslim for it to be obligatory. When a kafir dies, he's not made up responsible for the fast. Right? They have to be of age. They have to be sane. They have to be residents. They have to be or have physical capability to fast. And they must be void of anything that makes an excuse. Right? Now, what are the conditions of a person's fast being valid? قلنا ونضيف شروط الوجوب والآن نتكلم عن شروط الصحة بينهما فرق. Conditions for fast to be valid. Ali. Salah. Those who don't pray, they'll have no fast. Right, maybe. Either right hand. Student knowledge now raise his left hand to the teacher. Right, man? Further. Being Muslim, ahsant. If a kafir or non-Muslim fast, it is not valid. It is not accepted. Right. Number 2. We must have niyyah. Khair. Number 3. Number 3. Timing. La. Hopefully. Let's go back to what we mentioned before. They have to be sane also. They do not have to be of age for their fast to be valid. There's a difference between it being obligatory and between fasting being valid. In other words, a 9-year-old child can fast, and it can be valid. It can be sahih. A 10-year-old girl can fast, and it can be valid. A good deed is written for him or her, but it's not obligatory until they reach puberty. 14, 13, 16, depending on the child. Everybody understand the difference? There's a big difference between the two. Who can repeat that for me? Who can repeat what I just said? Ibrahim. Khalid. Abu Bakr. Exactly.
It's obligatory if you're opposed.
We said, first of all, conditions. Conditions for fasting to be obligatory, and conditions for fasting being what? We said, for it to be valid, they must be Muslim. They must be sane. They must be above the age of tamyiz, the age of discernment. In other words, they should be at least 6 or 7 years old. And which they know don't fast in the morning and then eat in the daytime. But they know that you can't eat all day long. There's a difference in Islam between bulugh and between tamyiz. So what are they? How do you mind? And then fuqaha first. بين البلوغ وبين التمييز. سن التمييز شيء والبلوغ شيء. سن التمييز يكون غالبا 7 سنوات 6 سنوات 8 سنوات. بلوغ يختلف تماما. Right. Right. Person being of age of discernment. In other words, a 4-year-old child, their fast in most cases is not going to be valid because they don't know what to do properly. They think fasting is not to eat this specific piece of cake, but you can drink this and that. They don't understand properly. But when they become 6, 7, 8, even around the age of puberty, they start to do what? They start to discern. They start to know what's going on. Okay? So the fast, in order for it to be valid, they must be of that age. Another condition for a person's fast to be valid is what? That a woman has to be pure. She cannot be not a menstrual cycle or postnatal bleeding. Okay? Fasting is not obligatory when she's in that state. Similarly, it is invalid. As the Prophet ﷺ clearly told us, there is a difference. Because a woman may come and say, I know I don't have to fast. I don't have to fast during this time, but I want to do it. I want to get more good deeds. I want to get closer to Allah. Is this not possible, Musa? It's possible. We say, La yasih min as-siyam. It is invalid. It's not accepted. It's not correct for her to fast. Everybody got this? Fine. Let's move on.
Question.
Follow.
What if someone is diabetic?
Fine. We're going to get there. The diabetes, any other type of terminal or chronic illness falls under the condition of what? That. Ascent. What's it in Arabic? And yukuna qadira. And you put an ish? Qadir. You said this. For it to be for the Qadir. If somebody came today, a scholar, sheikh, whatever you would call him, teacher from the Islamic University of Medina, and he said, I have 5 slots open right now. 5 slots. Mufti. Recommend 5 shabab, and they get it instantly. Who would I recommend? Who would I recommend Saudi? No. Who would I recommend that? That's how we have to think. You have to be in a class, you have to study, like tomorrow is the day going overseas. In other words, you have to practice and train like it's a fight. Practice and train like it's a good game. And anyone who's great in any sport, basketball or football, that's how they practice. Right, Philip? Practice like it's a what? Right. Now this is practice, right? So we have to be sharp. Tight. Moving on. Ali, if a person has diabetes, then they fall under the condition of physical capability, and they're not held responsible for fasting. And then they must make up those of his days with feeding. This will be explained later on in the show. Go on.
My question was, what if he fasts? Is it valid?
Excuse me for misunderstanding you. He says, if he does fast, is it valid? We say it depends on how or the level of his illness. It depends on the level of his or her illness. Okay? If the diabetes gives some trouble with fasting, some difficulty, a little weakness, a little dizziness, so on and so forth, but the doctor allows it, he says that you can fast if you want to, but it's just going to be a bit difficult. We say it's valid, inshallah. As for if the doctor clearly tells him or her, do not fast. You're going to harm yourself. You're going to cause your health to deteriorate. You're going to bring injury upon you. It's going to make the condition worse. Then he's going against the sunnah of the Prophet. He's going against the Quran. That was just apparent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from his punishment of himself. Allah doesn't need him to punish himself. But as for if it's a bit difficult, then it's valid in Allah. But he has the option of avoiding it. There is also a subtle difference between these two. Many Muslims, they make a misunderstanding of this. There's a subtle difference between slight difficulty and between physical injury. Right, inshallah. Everybody got this? Let's make an example. Let's move here. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us in the hadith of Imran ibn Hussein, in which he said, "Kanat bi al-Rawasi." He says, I used to suffer from a type of hemorrhoids. So I complained, I went to the Prophet ﷺ and I told him about my condition. The Messenger of Allah said, صَلِّ قَائِمًا فَإِنْ لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَقَاعِدًا فَإِنْ لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَعَلَى جَنْبٍ وفي رواية عند النسائي وإن لم تستطع فمستلقيا على جنب. The Messenger of Allah told him, offer the prayer standing up. If you cannot offer the prayer while standing, then sit down. If you cannot offer the prayer while sitting down, then lie on your side. It states in another narration, from mustalqiyan, on your back towards the qibla. In other words, there's not a condition that should be crippled to pray sitting down. But if you find it to be difficult, you find it painful, okay? It's a little hard for you to get up and get back down and follow the imam, then you're allowed to do what? Pray sitting down. It's not a condition that you have to die first to pray sitting down. Similarly, fasting. If a person had a toothache, if a person had a broken ankle or a sprained ankle, and he had to take medicine that was causing him pain, he can get around with a broken ankle. He can limp and hop on a crutch. But it's difficult, it's burdensome. We say he's allowed to do what? Stay away from the fast. But if he chooses to fast, if he or she chooses to bite down and to bear the difficulty, then the reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody clear with this? Everybody clear with this? There's a big difference. Moving on. It says here, كلنا نعلم أن المسجد بيت أو بيت الله ولكن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سواء فيه أن يصح أن تبدأ المحاضرة بطلب إنصاتنا أو انصرافنا. نحن أمهات الأطفال صغار نجلس معهم في مصلى النساء نود أن نسمع المحاضرة لكن لم يكن جميل في حقنا طلب الانصات أو الانصراف والمبادرة. Right. We say here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. نحن نقول الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام قد علمنا وأرشدنا في عدة أحاديث صحيحة شريفة أن النساء لا يمنعن من التواجد في المساجد ومن الحضور إلى بيوت الله عز وجل. فمن تلك الأحاديث الصحاح ما جاء عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله تعالى عنهما في الصحيح إذا استأذنت امرأة أحدكم إلى المسجد فلا يمنعها. وجاء في حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه وغيره لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. في أحاديث كثيرة جدا أن النساء من أمهات المؤمنين وغيرهن كنا يحضرن صلاة الجماعة وكنا يحضرن الدروس والحلق والمحاضرات الدينية، لا شك ولا ريب في هذا، هذا السنة صحيحة. ولكن مع هذا نقول هناك من الآداب ما ينبغي ويجب على الرجل وعلى المرأة الالتزام به، الالتزام به واحترامه، ومن ذلك الانصات، ومن ذلك عدم إيذاء الآخرين، ومن ذلك احترام الدرس واحترام ما يلقى فيه من العلم والفائدة. وهذا يتعلق بالرجال والنساء. هذا يتعلق بالرجال والنساء، لا نخص يعني واحد دون آخر. هذا يتعلق بالذكور والإناث، الاحترام والإنصات والتقيد بالشريعة الإسلامية من عدم التطيب وعدم التبرج وعدم يعني اختلاط الرجال بالنساء وما يشبه هذا من الآداب التي جاءت في السنة الإسلامية. فنقول إذا طلب من الرجال وطلب من النساء الإنصات وعدم الكلام وعدم التشويش على الآخرين فهذا مطلوب. أما طلب الانصراف انصرفنا اذهبنا خلاص، إما أن تنصت وإما أن تنصرف. يعني ليس من أحسن الأساليب. هذا ليس من أحسن الأساليب، ولكن ليس من أحسن الأساليب أن يطلب يعني انصراف النساء هكذا. لكن في رأيي القاصر أنا، صححوني إن أخطأت، أن النساء يعني أخواتنا أو يحفظهن لم يطلب منهن الانصراف إلا بعد أن يأسوا من الإنصات. صار لا؟ يعني هم انزعجوا انزعاج كبير على الأصوات وعلى اللغط، ثم لعله يعني رأى آخر حل الانصراف. إن لم يكن احترام السكوت وعدم لغط التشويش معلش. فيعني إذا كان هذا كذلك لا أرى بذلك بأسا، لا شك ولا ريب. النساء أمهات المؤمنين، يعني أمهات الأولاد الأطفال الصغار، وللأخوات مكانة واحترام في الدين، ونعترف بهذا الشيء لا شك ولا ريب في هذا. فأسأل الله عز وجل أن يوفقنا جميعا من العمل الصالح. هذا ما يحدث من الآن بالنسبة لهذا السؤال، والله تعالى أعلم. The question says that we were in the masjid, or we all know that the masjid is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So is it correct for us to be requested to keep silent or to go away and leave before the class or the lecture starts? We have children that we have to raise, we have to look after them, we want to keep silent, however some people still talk, so on and so forth. I was saying basically in Arabic, there lies no doubt that there are several authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that women came to the masjid during his time. They prayed, they sat in classes, they listened to the Rasulullah ﷺ, they were there in the masjid. And it is incorrect for a person to come and for a person to say that women cannot come to the masjid. And women must stay home. La, that's wrong. That's khata. That's a clear mistake. As long as a woman comes to the masjid wearing the proper hijab, as long as she's not perfuming herself, as long as she's not mixing with men, as long as she's not putting a fitna upon others or making a fitna for herself, she can come to the masjid. And this is the class. And the mothers of the children, our sisters, they are to be respected. They are to be respected. They have a place in Islam. They have a place in the deen. And we acknowledge this. However, both men and women must stick to the proper etiquettes of the masjid. And the proper etiquettes of the class and the lecture. From those etiquettes is keeping silent, not talking, not playing, not laughing, not becoming distracted by whatever you're becoming distracted by. This applies to men and women. It's not specifically to women. Okay? However, I don't think that the brothers told the women to go away, to go down the steps. I don't think they said that from the beginning. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they said that. I think that was like the last solution, right? Correct? Ali said, if you're not going to be quiet, then leave. In other words, if there's no other options, you're going to continue to sit and talk, then at least a lot of people want to sit to benefit from the class. So therefore, I said, I don't think that's the best thing to do. That may not be the best etiquettes. It may not be the best edit. However, if it's an issue of a person disturbing the whole masjid and you kicking them out, they say you gotta get rid of that habit. Sahih? Right? This is not the case. Yeah, another person. So therefore, hopefully in the future, the sisters who come to the masjid and listen to the lecture, hopefully they can make some type of way in which the children can be taken to a specific place. And the sisters who like to chat or driven into talking while the lecture is going on, perhaps they can be preoccupied with something that's beneficial for their souls besides the lecture. And the women, which I'm sure there are, who want to sit and listen to the class, actually learn and participate, they should be respected. And they should be allowed to listen without any further distraction. It's very sad, but it's a reality. Right now, it's very quiet. Jiddu. For all my years coming to this masjid, not personal, every time we do a lecture in the name of Salah, it's always noisy. Extremely noisy. I've been to many masjids, many centers, different states, different people. And there's children, there's women. MashaAllah, here in Windsor, there's always a healthy environment when we cross to the sister side. Every single time. I couldn't hide it. May Allah bless us all with beneficial knowledge and righteous action. Hopefully you guys can devise a plan in which the women or the brothers too will The children who like to chat and play around, they can be preoccupied with something. The people who want to sit and keep silent and listen and benefit are allowed to do that because it is their pocket. Is that not what I said, man? You hear that? Inshallah, no, we get offended. For men and women, as I said, for men and women, I like the gentleman said. It's not just women, men and women. No one knows better. Right. Next question. Father, I'm sorry.
The sickness, what you explained, does it apply to the travel? Saying, for example, the travel to go to work all the time in life. And if I not hardship for me to travel, can I travel?
Question is, with regards to a person being excused from fasting due to sickness, does this also apply to a traveler? And what if I work to travel?
No, that's not the question I asked. The question is, if someone is sick, he's capable of fasting without hardship. He's fasting, it's okay. But traveling, I know that traveling doesn't have to fast with hardship. So if there is no hardship, then I fast.
Right. The question says, with regards to a person traveling, if there isn't any hardship, are they allowed to fast? We say it lies no doubt in the Kitab and the Sunnah, is that it's a rukhsa. It's an allowance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not an azima. You don't have to break your fast while traveling. But you have the option. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Make up other days. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us, in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, and Ahmad and others, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى رُخْصَهُ كَمَا يَكْرَهُ أَن تُؤْتَى مَعَصِيهِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. That Allah loves for you to take the things that He allows you to take, just as He hates and detests for you to disobey Him. So therefore, Allah loves that thing. It's not necessarily mandatory, it's not necessarily incumbent and binding, but it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do. So therefore, if a person is traveling, and this is his job, and he travels all the time, far, close, but is traveling, he has the permissibility and the option of offering the fast. And this is in contrast to the salah, the prayer. Whereas there are many ulama of the past, ulama of the sunnah hold the opinion that it is obligatory to show your prayer while traveling. It is not an option. And Allah subhanahu that is the strongest opinion from the ulama. Whereas the Prophet never prayed a long full salah. All the time he traveled, he always made qasr. But that's the issue. We're not getting to that right now. I'm just trying to shed light that fasting is not like the salah. You have the option of long fast.
What's the definition of travel then?
The question says the definition of traveling. The ulama of the past, they differ over this issue. Most of the scholars of the past, they make a specific limitation or specific distance. And there's some scholars such as Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim and others who leave it up to the custom and culture of the people. Whatever you consider traveling in your culture and your custom takes the rules of traveling. And the Jumhur, the majority of ulama, they give that which is equal or approximate to, let's say 50 miles. 50 miles outside of your city, they say that's traveling. That's based off of specific distances that have been mentioned in some of the statements of the companions and also in some of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So we have two opinions here. The first says that you are not allowed to take the rulings of a traveler until you reach at least 50 miles outside of your town and not 50 miles driving in your town. Because there's some cities you can drive for 50 miles inside of the city. Without a doubt. Not sure. In the city, stop and go traffic. In Philadelphia, you drive from northeast all the way to another part of Philadelphia, and you can take 50 miles maybe on the highway, the expressway, Long Island, Connecticut. Okay? I'm him. That is the first opinion. Okay? There is a specific limit. Specific what? Specific limit. The second opinion is that there is no specific limit, and it goes back to the custom of the people, the urf of the people. Whatever you consider traveling, Windsor to Stanford, Windsor to Manchester. Somebody may say that's not traveling. And others may say, well, I was born in Connecticut. Okay? My parents were born in Connecticut. No disrespect, no offense. You come from Egypt. My people, they consider this to be traveling. You understand the custom of the people. Allah. The safest opinion is sticking with the specific estimation.
So the travel definition for the Siyam, and prayer is the same.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes. And regardless, whether it's hard or whether it's easy, it's both permissible. They're both permissible. There's some scholars say you cannot break your fast unless you're on a camel's back in the desert. The Gobi Desert. Not the Sahara Desert. Gobi Desert. And you're dying of thirst. Then you're allowed to break your fast. As for an airplane, you have air conditioning, sitting in first class, you have chairs, you have dinner. They say that's wrong. That's a mistake. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَخَيْرَ وَالْجَمَالَ وَالْحَمِيدُ لِتَقْوَى وَهَا وَزِينَةٌ وَيَخْلُقُ إِيش؟ ماذا يسلكون في المستقبل من طائرات وغواصات وقطارات وما يخطر على بالك ولا الاستنباط انتبهوا استنباط دقيق. Allah says horses, mules and donkeys in order for you to ride them and a means of adornment. And Allah creates that which you don't know. Allah brings to existence that which you are unaware of. In other words, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they rode horses, donkeys, mules, and camels, and basic boats, primitive boats. But in the future, there'll be planes, there'll be trains, there'll be submarines, nuclear submarines, so on and so forth. Things that you don't know about that's going to come, that people will travel by. And Allah did not send down specific revelation. He did not send down what? Specific revelation. The rule applies. Whether it's easy or whether it is difficult. Your own personal discretion, that's what you yourself. It's not hard. Alhamdulillah, I'm not in the sun. It's only a couple hours left on an airplane. I'm going to keep my fast. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm going to break my fast with the Muslims with the National Medina. And I say, I want to break my fast now. You can't break your fast. It's not wrong. It's cool. You're comfortable. Keep your ignorance to yourself, please. Do not force it upon me. Okay? Yani Benjamin, my youth club, some years ago, we were traveling. I think it was me, brother Umar, it was Ali, and I think New York. We were leaving New York City, coming to Connecticut. I had to do a khutbah, so I said, can we stop and get a coffee? So they didn't tell me no. They said, oh yeah, wait, we're just going to stop and a little bit, we're going to drive a little faster. We're going to, cut the road there. So they drove. I said, what about the coffee? He ain't showing there's another one coming up. Then the next thing you know, we're about 30 minutes outside. I said, oh, you might as well just keep it fast, don't worry about it. We'll be at the masjid soon, and then you can eat iftar with everybody. I wanted to say to him, you don't have a khutbah to deliver. Okay? It's easy for you to say. You don't have to speak and talk. I don't know him. It's all about personal preference. All that. Is it best to break your fast depending on the type of travel? If it's difficult, there lies no doubt that it's not from the sunnah to keep your fast. It is difficult. And then when Muslims who do that, they may be sweating, they may have a headache, they have a migraine, they're about to pass out. And then travel said, no, I'm going to keep my fast. I don't want to be easy. That's haram. And also the example of Khatib. Someone who's leaving a city, going to another city is an amana. They requested him to go and speak at the masjid. He's not the local imam. They're paying for him to come. It's logistics, things that are involved. You get there, you have a headache, hot mouth, tired, weak, you give him a lousy football. Which one is better? For him to break his fast or to keep his fast? Without a doubt. Because there's a masalih, there's benefits for many people in light of his own personal benefit. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rights are based off of musamaha. The rights of Allah will pardon you, inshallah. But the people, it's different. It's different issue. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ tells us, مَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Whoever Allah wants good for, He gives him understanding of the deen. So when it comes to fasting and any other worship, that would be fiqh. You have to have understanding. You can't just be literal, you have to have knowledge. You have to scratch beneath the surface, as we say. Wallahu a'lam.
ذكرت في موضوع النية وهذا موضوع جد خطير ومهم. فالنية في الصيام هل تكون جهرية أم سرية؟ تلفظ أم بالنية أو وذكرتم أيضا أنها تكون أثناء الليل. لما لا تكون أثناء الصوم فقط؟ تكون في الشرع يوميا.
طيب. نقول التلفظ بالنية يعني قول النية جهرا لا شك ولا ريب هذه محدثة البدعة لم يرد عن الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام مرة أنه تلفظ بالنية الصلاة وكذا وكذا، وإنما جاء ما يشبه هذا في الحج على تقدير لأهل العلم في ذلك، على تقدير لأهل العلم في ذلك. من العلماء من يقولوا بأن التلفظ بالنية خاص بنسك الحج أو العمرة. اللهم لبيك كذا وكذا وكذا، لبيك حجة، لبيك حجا وعمرة إلى آخره. ومن أهل العلم من أبى ذلك وقال هذا ليس التلفظ بالنية، على تفصيل بين أهل العلم ذلك. المهم نتفق على أن التلفظ بالنية في غير الحج والعمرة بدعة، والنية محلها القلب، إذ النية من أعمال القلب. أعمال القلب لا أحتاج يعني فيها إلى تلفظ، وإذا تلفظت بها صارت أعمال إيش؟ لسان، خرجت عن أعمال عن القلب، صدق قولها. أما قولها النية بالليل ولماذا لا تصح في وقت السحور مثلا؟ نقول السحور من الليل، لأن أصلا الفجر ما طلع بعد. الفجر إيش؟ ما طلع بعد، فهذا يعتبر من الليل. الله أعلم. واضح عمي؟ Question was, need, person's intention. How does a person make his intention? Does he verbally state his intention? Does he utter it? Does he say it audibly aloud? Or is it or inside of his heart? And secondly, why is the niyyah only mentioned at nighttime? Why not in suhoor time in the morning? Answer the first part of the question, then it allows no doubt for a person to say his niyyah out loud. Oh Allah, I intend to pray kada. Oh Allah, I intend to give this zakat. Oh Allah, I intend that. That is an act of innovation. That is not from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Praise, this is your last salah. That's wrong. It's khabar. It's not from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make this intention, brothers. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never said that. He never did that. Rather, the niyyah belongs in one's heart. And that is because a niyyah is an act of the heart. So if you utter it, it's no longer an act of the heart, that is an act of the tongue. So therefore, it is an innovation to do that. And the only time in the sunnah and in Islam to make your niyyah aloud is when you're making hajj or umrah. Making hajj or umrah. And there's some of the knowledge who say that that isn't talafud bin-niyyah. That's not even saying the niyyah, but that's just declaring your nusuk, your right to pilgrimage. And different details that we don't have time to explain right now. هذا فقط أن ذكرت الفائدة. يعني قمعا للبدعة. يعني جدلا على سبيل حتى نزلنا يعني تزلنا جدلا من أهل العلم من رد ذلك. المهم is that that's the only time you should say something aloud. Anything other than that, fasting, salah, anything that you're doing as worship, it is not to be said aloud. That's an act of innovation. Even if you see some people that claim to be knowledgeable and learned doing it, that is not from the sunnah. As for the second part of the question, then why at nighttime, why not in the daytime, such as suhoor? We say that suhoor is during the night. Even though it's in the AM, in the Western standards, but it's still late. And the Islamic standards is still nighttime because the Fajr has not yet come in. So therefore the niyyah is made at night, according to that opinion of the ulama. Or as we said, some ulama hold the opinion that one niyyah is sufficient for the entire month. And that's the correct opinion. Allah knows best. Right, question says, what is the ruling on reading from the Mus'haf and Salatul Taraweeh? We say that there's some people knowledge who made this lawful. And they said, labas. If a person wants to read from the Mus'haf, labas. It's okay, it's permissible. And they say it's permissible because some of the people of the past did it as a practice. And secondly, that it's not fadilah. It's not the obligatory prayer. And we know that in the supererogatory prayer, there are things that you can do that you can't normally do in the obligatory prayer. Certain movements, sitting down, facing the qibla while traveling, not, okay, while you're moving, okay? Even Abdullah ibn Zubayr and others, they used to drink water in Taraweeh, or drink water while you're praying. So therefore, that's, and there's some people knowledge who say no, that it shouldn't be done. And the person should recite what he knows from Quran. Whereas if he holds the Mus'haf, the need to move, unnecessarily. You need to put the mus'haf down, you have to put it on the floor. But we say that it's nafila. It is not an obligatory prayer. It's okay to do a few other actions. Wallahu a'lam. Right. The question says, question says, is there a hadith with regards to sins, or the iman will decrease, will deteriorate, okay, as fire burns wood, or something like this? At this time, the hadith does not sound familiar to me. There is a hadith that is collected by Imam al-Hakim in his Mustadrak that says, إِنَّ الْإِيمَانَ لَا يَخْلُقُ أو لا يخلق في جوف أحدكم كما يخلق الثوب الوشي أو من طول ما لبس. Or كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Hadith that says, verily your iman will deteriorate as a garment does. When someone wears a piece of clothing for a very long time and becomes tattered and worn and faded, that is what happens to your iman. إِنَّ الْإِيمَانَ لَيَخْلُقُ فِي جَوْفِ أَحَدِكُمْ. Hadith says that your iman will decrease, will become dry and stale and crusty and tattered. فِي جَوْفِ أَحَدِكُمْ, in one of your hearts, as takes place with a garden. That is a hadith in which some people now clearly authentic. As for the second hadith, Allah, inshallah, double check it between. Allah.
So if you're traveling and you cannot determine the direction of Qibla, can you pray in the direction your vehicle is moving?
If a person is traveling and he cannot determine the direction of the Qibla, is he allowed to pray in the direction of the vehicle? We say is that if you have the ability to stop your vehicle or to stand up on or in your vehicle, then you must face the Qibla. You must face the Qibla. If a person traveling by a boat, and he can stand up without fearing drowning or storm, then you must stand up. If a person is on an airplane and he has the ability of standing up and facing the Qibla without harming no one else, without being harmed himself, if there's a musalla on the plane, then that is obligatory. If a person was on a submarine, you may look weird, strange. I know a brother who was in the Navy. He was in the Navy, he was on a nuclear submarine for at least a month at each time. Okay? He would come and ask questions about prayer and different things on the submarine. No sunlight. Okay? So on and so forth. Out of him, if you can stand up and face the Qibla, there are two things now. Standing up is one thing, and facing the Qibla is different. Okay? If you can do that, then it's wajib. If you're making the fard. If you're making the fard prayer. As for the nafil prayer, it's permissible to sit down. It's also permissible to face other than the Qibla while traveling. As for if a person cannot stop the vehicle, or he cannot stand up on or in the vehicle, such as an automobile or a truck or something like this, or some airplanes, most airplanes that you get on have a musalla on them, then we say the Prophet has told us in the hadith of Abu Hurairah Muslim. He says what? مَا نَهَيْتُكُمْ عَنْهُ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ. He says, whatever I forbid you from, then stay away from it. وَمَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِهِ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And the thing that I tell you to do as much of it as you can. So fear Allah to the best of your ability, try the best of your ability. The Muslim, he has to be balanced. The Muslim is not to be a coward. He's not to be afraid, a scaredy cat. Okay? Nor is a Muslim someone to be foolish and reckless. Okay? To cause harm to others or harm to himself. There's a balance. There's some Muslims, they may be in the airport, they pray sitting down. And they're not traveling, they're not too far from their city yet or something like this. Okay? There's no reason to sit down. Pray in the corner, no one's going to bother you. Allah knows best how many times I've traveled in the train station and the airport with kuffar around you. You pray, mind your business, they won't bother you, they respect you. But there's some Muslims who are afraid, no, sit down, no, there. Of course, you're not going to say pray in the walkway, pray in front of a pub, pubs in the airport. It's reality. Most airports have bars and pubs, even in the Muslim lands, unfortunately. Okay, some Muslims you go to, there's more alcohol in the airport than in the non-Muslim airports. I've seen it with my own eyes. More khamr in the Muslim airport than in JFK. Okay, I don't know him. Or Bradley Airport, huh? Right? Oh, you know the Muslim have at home? Oh, you're saying even worse, a long style. There may be some beer here and there, but I'm talking about khamr. What I'm trying to get to is that you don't throw yourself along the way. At the same time, you stand for your deen. But there's two issues out there, two issues. They're not the same. One issue is facing the qibla, and another is standing up. If you're making the farida prayer, then you must stand up if you have the ability to do so. If you're making the farida prayer, you must face the qibla if you have the ability to do so. As for making a nafil prayer while traveling, then you don't have to stand up, nor do you have to face the qibla.
But nafil prayer, you don't have to do nafil prayer traveling.
No, it all depends what type of nafil prayer you're talking about. From the sunnah is that whenever you travel, it's to leave off the sunnah of what? The prayers that you made before and after the 5 daily prayers. With the exception of the 2 before Fajr. The Prophet ﷺ, whenever he went on a journey, he would not make the extra prayers before or after Dhuhr, or Asr, or Maghrib or Isha. He would leave them off. And we said that that's what, Shakir? What is that called? Sunnah of what? Tarkib. Sunnah? Tarkib. Sunnah. I mean, Sunnah and that's we leave things off sometimes, and that is also from the Sunnah. To do and not to do from the Sunnah. However, let's say you're making the 2 rak'ah for Fajr. Or let's say you're making witr. Those are prayers that the Prophet ﷺ always prayed no matter where he went. Or we say, nafil mutlaq. Nafil mutlaq, general voluntary prayer. General voluntary prayer. There's a difference. This needs a class in itself. We have different types of nawafil. We have rawatib, we have nafil mutlaq, we have rawatib asbab. There are different types of supererogatory prayers. They're not on the same level. That's a whole different lesson in itself. I want to stop here. I don't mind continuing with questions, but I see a couple of brothers, everybody getting a little tired, and maybe a little aggravated. Maybe they want to pray and go home. I don't want to be a means of annoying to any Muslim. Wallahu a'lam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Inshallah, any other questions? We take them after the salah. I'll wait till the call. I have no problem. I'm going to sit with you in the long hours to 12 a.m. When it? Wallah. We don't impress nobody. Last week, the brother came in. In the middle while I was talking, which is considered, unfortunately, extremely rude. But I heard a lot of things over that. It's young, I can slap in the face. I'm talking about hadith, power of Rasulullah, knowledge, he's pray, yeah. That's very bad. May Allah help all of us. And it's something we should pass on to those brothers. That's extremely rude. And it's disrespect to the class and to the teacher. If you want to pray, alhamdulillah, pray. No one's stopping you from praying. But if the majority of the Muslims are sitting in the class and listening and benefiting and asking, it's not for you to make them lose out for your own personal comfort. You want to go home and you're tired, I understand. Fajr is very early in the morning. The Shad is late, you worked all day, you have a wife and children, alhamdulillah. But there has to be adab, so we have to teach this. Now, there's many matches before where people have done this. Scholars from overseas, people, they break it, or they come in and if there was, let's be real, if it was a kafir in the masjid, talking about some political issue or this or that, or you wouldn't say nothing. You would come, you would sit down, and you would listen. Is this right? What do you think? Allah.